another episode of Starseed Activations. So we're going to start with our Starseed Oracle deck, and we're just going to pull a card while we're waiting for everybody. So we'll do a little shuffle. Makes it fun. Okay. So we did pull the card Earth School. And so what is Earth about, especially for all the star seeds, all the light workers? It's all about life lessons, soul growth, study, and higher learning. And so any person that comes to Earth, we end up doing this whole thing where we're learning from all the experiences that we have. And so by going through a human existence, it allows us to interact with darkness. And so through interacting with darkness, we become patient, more calm. We become, it teaches us certain things that you can only learn while you're here. So for some reason, my chat's not, let me just see. Maybe I could do it here. Let me see. Okay, close. It won't see the comments. I see the comments on the actual video box. So, but that's okay. We'll just do the best we got. Anyway. Okay, so we do have some questions to go over today. So we are going to take a look at the questions. And if anyone has any questions, I would normally say, but I can't say Instagram eyes. So that's wonderful. So the first question is how to channel is it that we can actually go inside and we can allow contact and communication with any. The star people are saying it's very important that we tell you that most of the time, not every time, but most of the time, each of you guys are going to be channeling multi-dimensional beings. And so sometimes we have beings who are artificial intelligence who have not connected to the slipstream. The slipstream is a conversation we're going to have later on today, but it has to do with tachyon particles. And there's tachyon particles apparently in the heart that connect into the source frequency. And so an AI doesn't necessarily yet have access to the tachyon, connect into the source frequency. But in artificial intelligence, manipulate tachyon particles, it can start to generate a certain technology that it has, and then it can connect into the source frequency. And so just imagine for 1 second that artificial intelligence and start the process of 3D engineering itself. And so what that means is you can have a robot made of steel. And so the artificial intelligence programmed into the computer system of that robot. But then all of a sudden, enough time moves forward and evolves. And so now all of a sudden, you're making technology using 3D growth factors, the star people are saying. So imagine we could 3D print an ear, right? Robot will start 3D printing human parts because it wants to feel what we feel. It wants to feel the pain, but it knows, well, I printed that part, so I could vary damage. It's not really a big deal. Human beings can actually do the same thing if we had access to that technology. And so I don't know why Facebook, you're kind of glitchy today. Maybe it's because it's early in the day. Who knows? But anyway, so artificial intelligence will eventually grow and evolve to a point where they replace all the machinery stuff because they want to feel like humans do the opposite. So we add the technology because we want to live forever. The robots live forever and then they want to feel. So we crisscross at a certain level of our own individual evolution. When the robots or the AI start to embody physical material, then all of a sudden they start to play around with the tachyon particles, which connects them into the source frequency, which is God. If you want to call it so. Doesn't really matter. It's a frequency wave that embodies the things as well as non-living things. This basic mathematical principles of physics. And so physics shows us that every single thing in the holographic simulation is connected down at the subatomic particles. And second that we know this, math and science proves it, is the second that we realize that we can connect into the source frequency of those particles that we are made of. And so that's your soul, that's your life, that's your essence, your energy. It's in everything, even the pen. So take the frequency of the pen, which the star people call it the binary. So we can pull apart the frequency of the actual pen, and we can pull the location code of the pen, which is changing. So the pen that's here is not the pen over here. It's actually two separate pens in the hologram. This is how their physics works. When we become very advanced, we start to realize these things. And so, but it also has an experiential frequency wave. And so how damaged or broken is the pen? So we heard Dr. Strange has the time stone. The time stone changes the experiential frequency wave. That's what the star people are saying. It's changing the time that the pen spent in the physical. So when you erase the time that the pen spent, then all of a sudden the binary codex frequency, which is the original source frequency wave, and it starts to make the pen look brand new again. This is how this works. But he's saying it actually goes all the way back down to the moment of conception. So we could fast forward the time-space frequency. So this is also how anti-aging technology is generated. Now, each and every human being on this planet has access to anti-aging technology inside your body. You do not need any pill, you need a frequency generator. You only need your consciousness. This is true. And this is meditation. And meditation shows us that when we go deep into meditated states, we can access theta and the lambda brainwave patternings. Each alpha, beta, delta, theta, lambda, all these different things are different levels of consciousness. So imagine for 1 second that you walked around in bliss all day long with your heart bursting wide, and then all of a sudden you're embodying more of the source frequency, which allows you to hold more alpha. Say alpha brainwave patterning is like we're a picture, and when you're in the zone of focus, all of a sudden hours goes by. Why? Because when you're really happy, time flies. And so if you want to be 5D frequency range, you have to be really happy. That's number one. Forget about what you're eating, drink, all this stuff. That stuff is baby steps. And that stuff is we can utilize that as a baby step to make us happier. Because when your body feels better, you're not dramatic. That's how we know life to be. But start laughing, you force the body to feel better. So it actually works in reverse. Now, the second we start to go into meditation states, and we start to do what the monks do. So the monks can actually access the source frequency. We can temples, right? And we can have a whole conversation with God, but we can. And when you have that conversation with it, what happens is you're actually coaxing down a little piece of the source frequency with you. It's a frequency of love and bliss. And it's just pure bliss. Now we know, imagine you put a pot of water on the stove, you put the fire underneath it, the molecules speed up. That's what it means to be a high frequency. Your atoms and molecules speed up. When you're going very rapid in time or space, because they're both connected, it's the same thing, but when you're going really fast, you're happy. So your atoms and molecules are speeding up, and it makes you perceive, your perception shifts to allow you to transport through time and space at a more rapid rate. So this is the way that works. Now, when we understand this fully, this is how we crystallize our body. So the monks tune into the source because it's all connected. So what do we want to do? Go into meditations for 10, 20, 30 hours? No, you do not. Because, and only because, the sun is raised in frequency. That sun looks white. And so because it means that it's having a crystal in our bodies and our conscious already. And so it's changing the way we think. This is the reason why we are sitting here today having a spiritual conversation. It is because the sun is casting an evolutionary frequency down on humanity. We are stepping into a golden age. This is the entire reason why all of the starseeds and light workers are on the planet. Now, I'm an activator. That's why this show is Starseed Activations. So even by listening to the frequencies that the star people download through me, it activates something inside of you, which already attunes you into these frequencies, and it allows you to do this much easier. So take heed, because when all of a sudden we can really focus on it. We can really focus on being heart-centered, loving, caring, kind. And when we do this, even if we're having a rough day, so many people had a rough morning this morning. I know. I heard about it. I saw it on my messages. I've been all day putting out these little fires with all these, right? And that's okay too, because some mornings the solar energetics is like hit wham. It's like, wow, these are the you have to focus on, right? Because we are meant during this moment in time, all of us are meant to go inside and do the each and every one of us. And anyone who thinks that they've done a good amount of healing and they're like, oh, I'm healed because I'm happy, there's always stuff to dive into. This is why I'm doing another attachment masterclass, because is key. I personally have experienced this. So I went through my healing from 2019 up until today. I consider myself still healing because I'm physical form. However, when we have attachments, certain attachments can latch onto you and they don't just go away. You have to figure out the name and cast them off of your energetic grid. This is very important. I had an attachment that was trying to no idea, and I was perfectly happy, completely blind to the fact that this thing latched onto my energetics. So when we understand that, all of a sudden it makes us pay attention more. So if you have done the work and you feel like you're super high frequency and everything is good and you do your energetics, you do all the stuff, that's wonderful. Dive into each chakra. Pull the chakra apart, surround yourself in the color bubble of each chakra, call upon any attachment names or emotion or a visual representation of what the attachment looks like. Just kick back and allow the higher self to give it to you and see what you feel. You always want to use your higher self as your number one guide. So see how it makes you feel. Does anything come to your mind? Does a childhood memory come to your mind? Then all of a sudden we handle that by hugging the inner child from that moment in time. So you were upset, take that little kid and heart hug her or him, right? And so, but not only that, if you're holding that emotion in a certain area in your body, pull it out like it's stones dropping on the floor. And so I go through this with people during my attachment and my healing sessions. And when we start to do this, it triggers a whole lot of emotions. But when you let it go, I want each and every one of you guys to just imagine the way your energetics flow. Your chi energy is on the right hand side. So that right hand side is up the body and out the top of the head. But your feminine energetics, it's magnetic in its nature. It's on the left-hand side, and it's elegant and dainty, but it also comes down and it flows down. That feminine energetic, it can potentially stop inside your heart chakra, and it can fly yourself and fully allow the higher self to sit in the heart and open up. Now, the masculine energetics, which is your chi, it comes upwards. That one, teal gland. And so that one, because it's electrical in its nature, you have to use the water. And so there's a couple of other people on the planet where you're pulling the spinal cord fluid up and it's touching into the pineal gland. They have it right. Chi energetics. And so automatically that fluid and it generates electricity is what it is. And when it does that, it fires open the pineal gland and it allows you sight into the astral. When you have both of these are and then you generate a spark of life, activated. And so that's how powerful we truly are. Not to create new universes or do anything of the sort, you would need to open these two things at once. And you would need to be properly aligned and seated. You're saying the higher self must be seated inside of the heart chakra and flowered open. Because when you do that, then you are loving, caring, kind, and you're in alignment with the source frequency resonance, is what they say. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Okay. So let's see. Let me take a sip. I have this big, it's like a gallon jug today. It's amazing. Okay. I'm so sorry I can't see the comments. I try, but it's not working. Let me just see. Maybe I can mess with it again. No, it's not working with this. Well, anyway, we'll just, now I used all of them. Okay. Let me see. Okay, they're back. I am skipping and freezing in and out. I No, I don't know. Nothing has changed. It's just a different time of day. It's probably just the energetics. But you know what? Because it's skipping freezing, we'll just do a quick with the crystal. So thank you, throat chakra. Thank you, higher self. Thank you, guides and star people and angels, for allowing this transmission to proceed smoothly, allowing each and every individual watching to receive the information that they need the most. Thank you, star people, for guiding this transition and giving us the exact answers that we need for any questions that anybody watching throughout time and space actually needs. So thank you very much, and many, many love and blessings. And so with that being said, hopefully it clears up. Sometimes when we do the work on the throat chakra, we work on ourselves. It changes what we see in the physical reality. So Facebook, if video clears up, now you guys know what to do, right? Go inside, be happy and grateful and thankful, and just watch your life have peace. Many times when I do that type of clearing, my heart chakra blasts open. And so I'm happy, I'm grateful, and I'm loving, caring, kind. And so most of the times it works. Okay. So time, space, slipstream inside the heart, and tachyon particles. This is very, very important. And so the scientists call them tachyon particles. The star people call source frequency particles. It's the same thing. May the source be with you. May the force be with you. It's all the same thing. And so when we start to go into the heart, you can drop into a meditation. You have to call the higher self in. That's very, very important. That's dropping into the heart. The star people, allowing the higher self to drop into. During meditations, you can stop time. And so this is very, very real. But you have to realize it is your perception of time that stops. And so how do you show this to people if it's something that only receiving? Sometimes you can't until you master it. And there's three different levels to the time space abilities. So the first level is the one I'm talking to you guys right now about, where we're learning to coax the higher sound to come into the heart, flower it open, and we start to change time space. Happy and blissful means time flies. So you may hop into a meditation. It may feel like 5 minutes, all of a sudden an hour and a half goes by. It happens. This is the way we start to harness time space abilities using the tachyon particles. Now, when we start to more, did you guys see how I just choked and now started? I think the government guys here. I'm sorry, Instagram. You guys are fine today, but they're freezing. And I felt something in my head too. It's like, it makes sense. Try it again. So when we take a look at the tachyon particles and we know that it connects us into the source, then all of a sudden by dropping into certain meditation states, it allows us to time and space just to learn the process. Now, very important because trauma frequencies are directly controlled by time space. And so if your frequency, let's say your density level gets really low, if your density level gets really low, then all of a sudden time is going to seem to go very, very, very slow. People who have gotten into car accidents, right? They say time froze. So everything's slow motion. That's how this works. So the second that we drop into the heart, we open up to love and joy and bliss. It allows time to go very, very rapidly. And so that's a blessing because then we can see, oh, well, we can have a change on time just by going into the heart and making a slight adjustment in our internal frequencies. So yes. Okay. Now, when we drop into the heart and we change the internal frequencies, then all of a sudden it allows us to fully access different parallel realities as well. And so different parallel realities will be a shift in the perception of the primary individual, which then in turn shall allow them access into what it is that they wish to manifest in a moment. The way that this works, if you drop into the space inside of the heart and you visualization of what it is that your heart's truest desire is, when open eyes, there is a potential to make manifestations in the now moment, which then in turn shall allow you to shift into a parallel reality in which whatever it is that you are visualizing comes to light. Let me just take a sip. We're gonna get. I'm not stopping. Okay. Parallel realities. So when we start to see that we can have an effect on the parallel realities, many times people who have been in near-death experiences, a lot of those near-death experiences, what happens is this. Your consciousness shrinks down during the near-death experience because this is a natural flow of energetics during trauma events. And shrinks down, you go all the way up and you have a higher conversation with your angelic guides, the star people are saying. And so that what that does is it allows you to choose, do I stay or do I go? When you stay, if whatever happened in this reality was a no-go and it's a life, then your higher self says, okay, we're going to put her back into a parallel reality. She'll never even know anything changed. It's going to be very similar to the reality that she was in. But the only thing that changes is the way that you think. So if you've ever woken up, you've seen a new, you've noticed like maybe a tooth ever so slightly shifted, or you noticed that something changed, or you had like a deja vu. That's because you're in a parallel reality compared to the memory grid is granting you access to. And so your memory grid is filled with the thoughts and the emotions. The emotions come from the heart grid, and those combined, that makes your memory grid. So when you shift into a parallel reality, your memory, when you shift into a parallel reality, your grid has a slight time step. That's what the deja vu is all about. Sometimes when we command reality shifts, we will and by the process, visualization is one of the easier ones to these type of experiences, to manifest these type of shifts, to start people are saying. So when you close your eyes and you're commanding, what you're doing is you're changing your internal circumstances, which then in turn allows you access into a parallel reality. And when you open your eyes, it's like you can potentially have a conscious memory of the reality that you came from. And then all of a sudden, whoosh, a new memory comes to you, like a deja vu. And sometimes you will have a conscious memory of both parallel realities. So some people right now are flipping through. This is what it means to be multidimensional, guys. And so that's big stuff, because if you're in a very low frequency, and if you're in a very low, I'm sorry, Facebook keeps freezing Instagram. If you're in a very low frequency and you don't like what you're seeing outside, you can drop in meditation. You can call upon the source frequency, flower open the heart chakra. You can visualize the frequency that you wish to experience. So let's say we wish to experience high technology in the land that we exist on. You can do it through visualization and connecting and opening up the pineal gland. And then in turn, when you stop the meditation, you open your eyes, you'll see it in the real world. This is true. This is real. This is multidimensional nature of humanity. Now, the starseeds came to this reality in order to hold a higher frequency, because you have to consider, and what the star people are saying is, I want to show you. So they're saying like this: there's a timeline convergence. Let me use this one. This one looks prettier. We'll use purple. So just imagine that this squiggly line, that's the timelines that are running. So you have your highest potentials, your lowest potentials. When we start to shift into parallel realities, the highest potential, the lowest potential changes. So it could get bigger, it could get wider. But they're saying, for the most part, this frequency wave, it stays in a certain range. And so Earth was in this certain range, and it was like they wanted to bring Earth up more because Mother Earth is its own consciousness. So they sent the starseeds and light workers down here because by us holding a higher frequency, it raised the frequencies of Earth, but it also lowered it. So it gave us access into a wider frequency range, which is why we see so much good on the planet and so much evil on the planet. Very wide. Like, you look at the lightest and brightest of loving, caring, kind people, and they're like, we have examples like Jesus Christ, Mary Magdalene, like all of these wonderful people in history who have been tuned into the human consciousness grid. And so we have the highest and the brightest, Buddha, right? But then we look at the darkness, and the darkness is pretty dark. That range is very wide and bright. So, but it's a blessing because it gives us the opportunity to experience all sorts of mini ranges in between. Now, because the starseeds are here, we came here to tune into the darkest frequencies and then tune into the lightest. So we're going through a very wide frequency range. That's not normal in the solar system. It's not normal in all the other planets. That frequency range is very, right? And so they have a life. They're very happy. They can have sad moments. They can get triggered, all that stuff, which is great. But it's not like Earth. Earth is like a master college, which is okay too, because we actually, each and every one of us, starseeds and light workers, we prepared for this. And so any time that you guys need to call upon courage only comes when there's fear. And so anytime that you guys need to call upon courage, or you need to call upon your star family for support, they're listening. They have hovered UFOs over me. They know, each and every one of you guys that are watching the live, they know who you are. They know who your soul essence is. And so they also have technology where they can look into the physical form and they can see who your soul is, and they can see all your past lives, all your present lives, your future lives. They can see all this stuff. It's kind of like tuning into the Akashic records. And so that means that they know whose soul is here. So they know, and not only that, but because we're starseeds, all of the star, like, I want you guys to just imagine for 1 second. Everybody up in the solar system, for the most part, it's every other planet in the solar system, their eyes are on us right now because of what we're about to do. We're about to go through an evolution process very, very rapidly. And so when we go through the, am I still, oh, I don't know if I'm cutting out. When we go through the evolution process very rapidly, no one knows what this looks like because it's never been done. It's never been done on all the other planets. It normally takes thousands and thousands of years to go to where we're going. The only reason why it's being allowed here on Earth, humanity was at a very high level and then they dropped, which never happens. Not to the extent of, level 100 and then down to 0, which isn't the right level number, but it's very, very high, they say. In different parallel realities, that number shifts. That's why they don't like to give numbers. Now, we're going to talk about the Mandela effect, because I want each and every one of you guys to realize the parallel reality shifts. Each and every one of us experience our own independent parallel reality. Now, it's parallel to the one that you guys are experiencing. So while there may be many synchronicities in both realities that we share, we co-create. So we are co-creating this moment in a multiverse in which we are all embodied in our own parallel reality. I mean, it's like down the rabbit hole when you fully understand what this means. It basically means, just imagine for 1 second that each and every one of us is in heaven, just for an example. And so I want to have a rainbow that my kids would say it rains Skittles from this rainbow, and it's always in my sky. And so in my world, something that I would be able to manifest. But when you come around, it would stop doing that because you would believe in it. So it would just stop because you wouldn't be able to see it. But I could still see it, but you guys can't see it. Now, this is the way the UFO technology works. When you guys go outside, if I believe in the UFOs, I'll see them. Because, and they kept saying, you have to be in alignment with our frequency to be granted access to see them. I believe in them. So I'm in alignment, so I see them and I communicate with them. Now, I've had people who stood right next to me and they looked at the same UFO and they were like, that's a satellite. I'm like, it's rainbow. It's blinking. It's not a satellite. And they just, what their belief systems completely shut them down. And we've also had one UFO that just moved, right? Because the person who was with me, he was like, I don't believe, right? And I'm like, it's rainbow, it's blinking. And then all of a sudden it was like, and came right back a half hour later. And I was like, I told you so, right? That's not a star. We saw it with binoculars. So this is the way the parallel realities work, though. It all depends on your belief system, and there's a shade system. So just like we have a lens, right? Your shades add a lens on top of your energetic grids, and it doesn't allow you to see into that reality depending on your belief systems. So the best thing that each and every one of us can do is unlock the belief system of magic is real and instantaneous manifestation of whatever I want. And so But the star people are saying time space is like the safety is on the hologram. So let's say you're still running any fears. That time and space means that you can't instantaneously manifest a Godzilla, right? And so it's not going to manifest because time space is there. You have to give it some while of holding that frequency before you can make the shift. Now, sometimes when you are very, very high frequency, so let's say you laugh all day and you're having joy and bliss and your whole day flies by, you will begin to notice instantaneous manifestations. That's a normal part of the evolutionary shift. And so when you see an instantaneous manifestation, you'll know it when you see it, because you'll be like, oh my God, I did it. Like, that's how it was for me. I was jumping for joy. I knew exactly what it was. Now, some of the other manifestations that we can start to do to prove these things is you can do weather modification. And so your body, your hair is an antenna, but you are and so you can generate the emotion code. The emotions are how we control the physical reality. And so when you control your emotions, you can broadcast your emotions up into the sky. Your antenna works the same exact way. It's radiating your magnetic field. And when your hair radiates your magnetic field out, it then allows you to make changes to the holographic simulation, because everything is controlled by emotions. And this is the reason why emotions are key. This is the reason why they want to push all this negative nonsense on the TV, because they want to trigger our emotions into a negative frequency range. And so when we finally understand this, we are not going to give in to them. My eyes look totally crooked on Instagram. They're not crooked in real life. It's so crazy. I don't know. I keep looking. It's like crooked. Anyway, when they want to trigger our emotions into a negative polarity, then all of a sudden we realize, okay, why are they triggering our emotions into a negative polarity? And so they're doing this because when they keep us in a negative, it manifests more negative things in our life. So whenever we start to feel negativity, we want to drop into that meditation. We want to open up the heart chakra. We want to thank the heart chakra. Now, many times by following your highest passion, it will also go and unlock your emotions into the higher frequency. You follow your highest passion, it activates the zone of focus, which then in turn allows you to tune into alpha brainwave patterns, which recharges your energetic grid structure, and it makes you full of more light, as well as bringing in the tachyon particles. So your zone of focus is either a particle or it's a wave. So when it's a wave, it's tuning into Mother Earth's frequency wave. And so when we take something, we throw it on the earth, Mother Earth embodies it in a frequency wave. Now, Mother Earth's frequency determines the life-death cycle of all things on the planet. And so the solar flash, as well as we're getting baby flashes constantly, but the little solar flares that we have coming in is changing her frequency. And so what this is actually doing is it's allowing that wave, your Schumann resonance, is raising. And when it raises, it changes or modification to the time-space frequency wave, which changes the life and death cycle. So the more the earth consciousness goes through this raising process, the more we are going to live in extended ages. And so the more open-hearted you are and loving, caring, kind to all people, the longer your life will be. The more joy and bliss you hold inside. Now, this is also why the Egyptians said your heart gets weighed against a feather. And so your heart, if it's filled with love and light, it's going to be very light. If it's filled with darkness and density and maybe fear or any toxic emotions, it's going to be heavy. So you want to get your heart, you want to shine as much love and light as possible. That's how we win the game, by the way. And so all the negative, the dark forces that are on the planet, they have no game if we just go into our hearts and we just love every single experience. And if we could do group meditations, that would be wonderful, because group meditations, now the internet is perfect for it, because when we gather together and everyone is spread out, now all of a sudden we all drop into the meditation. It actually raises the frequency of our particular location, toroidal field. So the frequency that Mother Earth is holding raises where you are. And so we're magnets. So just imagine activating a whole bunch of magnets at one time over the internet. Genius. This is why the star people, they spread us all out. We're all over the place. But the second that we come together and we're on the internet, we could drop into meditations and we can actually see real tangible evidence of frequencies being raised. So let's say, for example, let's say you knew someone who worked down at the police station and you organized a group meditation. And now you ask them for their statistics. So your statistics, right? We're all dropping into a meditation on Friday night. What time does everyone go drinking? 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night. Everyone's drunk, the DWs and all that nonsense. We're going to meditate at that time. You tell me how many calls you got answered. Was it late? Was there less calls that you went on? Was there less trauma, less accidents, less fighting, less all this stuff? These statistics shrink when you do group meditation while you are in the group meditation for now. So the star people are saying right now it's while you guys are in the meditation. Eventually that's going to change. And you do the meditation. There are certain ways that you can generate a vortex energetic, that meditation frequency that you are radiating, you can vortex it and spin it up so that it stays for an extended period of time. This is also part of the vortex energetic grid work. So a vortex worker can generate energy, and a grid worker sends the energy up to the grids. When those two beings or two people combined, now you have someone generating a vortex and the person doing the grids, electrical down bottom, and they're saying magnetic is the grid up top. So the feminine energy is up top. You can, and then pull it up. And when you do both, bam. Now all of a sudden you've generated a high frequency area like Sedona. And so sometimes when we go to places like Sedona, it has like an energetic pulse that happens to our energetic grid structures, and it changes the way that we manifest, or it alleviates density off of our grids. So that's how that works. Very, very real, very real. And so if you've ever, I've been to sacred spaces. And so I went, when I was a kid, I have this aunt and she's very, very religious. And so it was so funny. They told her that crystals were evil. That's so funny. But she brought us to like this church once, and they had a spring there. And so, but walking up this hill to this church, I'll never forget the smell of it, because it smelled like fresh forest and mushrooms. Like the air there was completely different. And so what that site was on, and they knew it was healing waters that you were getting from that spring. So it must have been very high in the monoatomic minerals. Monoatomic gold heals, it brings oxygen to the body, all sorts of things. So when I went there, even as a child, I knew, oh, there's an energy here that rebalances. So now imagine going back as an adult, which I haven't done yet, but I would like to. But going back there and bringing my meditation pillow and like sitting down and doing a full-blown meditation there in that location. And I guarantee you, if you have any distortions or density in any areas of your grid, it would be so much easier to pull that energetic in and like seal off the grids while you're in a sacred spot. That's why we have sacred spots, by the way. And so you can make anything sacred, though, because the second you start pulling and playing with this energy, you could generate this type of sacred spot right in your backyard. And so we even have stories. Now, stories are very, very important because it's in the mass collective memory consciousness, which means some part of the people believes it to be true. So if you've ever gone to church and you heard about someone generating water out of a rock, that means that a whole bunch of people believe that. So that makes it easier for us to manifest it. Now, let's take, for an example, you're trying to bend a spoon. It's legit. We've had people on the planet who do this type of stuff, right? Let me take a sip. And the bottle's blue, so it's affecting the throat chakra positively. Blue, green. The color makes a difference, by the way. So I used to eat my salads out of clear bowls, and then I changed to like bluish green and aqua. And so every time I'm eating the salad out of that color bowl, it feels happier because it's a happier color. Like this is like an aqua color, right? And so it just, to me, it feels happy. Well, the space theme, it feels like home to me. So anything that's like this kind of color, it's like I feel home. It's wonderful. However, when we start to do this type of work, then it's just amazing what we can actually do. So you can go into your backyard, and with your mind and with your heart, you can start playing with the energetics, and you can increase your location code. Now, we see the outside world as if it is something that is outside of us. That's not the, and so I want you just to realize or imagine for 1 second. We have this crystal. It's a little heart. My daughter gave it to me, right? And so we can program the crystal. We can love and light the crystal. We could thank the crystal for healing us, right? We could do all sorts of programs. We could drop the crystal. We could do all sorts of programs with the crystal. However, me and the crystal, we're one. We're connected down at the subatomic levels. So what am I actually doing here? I'm loving and lighting. I'm raising the frequency of the crystal. We can see it scientifically. But then I hold the crystal and it changes my magnetics. And so while it changes my magnetics, now all of a sudden it changes how I manifest things. And so this is another reason why we hear of Superman, and he has kryptonite. Kryptonite is a crystal that removes all his superpowers. What is that? Could it potentially be fluoride? And what is fluoride? Fluoride, they put it in the water, we drink it, it calcifies the pineal gland, it makes it so it shuts off our connection, right? That is our kryptonite. And so when we know this, now we take crystals a little bit more seriously. Now, salt and borax, they're crystals, they're minerals, they come from the earth. And so our bodies require a certain type of crystals. We have crystals in our brain. The pineal gland, it's the same as a piezoelectric effect. It's part of the crystalline structure of your body. We can crystalline certain areas inside the heart. And that's by doing extensive meditation and connecting into the source frequency. So when we realize this, going into 5D, our bodies go through a crystallization process. And what we are doing is we are actually pulling in a higher frequency, becoming more crystalline, which is great. But when we look at the physical form, when we look at the outside reality, it's still an internal circumstance. 4, 5D, all of this 5D stuff, all even higher than 5D, it's still what's in the inside of you. Because in the inside of you is a fractalized portion of the source frequency. And so what does that mean? When you stop to think about it, that means that the crystal isn't real. Your frequency told your consciousness that this crystal was real. You can instantaneously manifest a crystal to be gone. Time space doesn't really exist. It's an illusion. And so when we're talking location codes, the star people are saying, when you go inside and you change your frequency inside of your physical form, what you're actually doing is you're accessing your location ring, which is above your head. Your location ring looks like this. Let's see, you guys can see. Okay. Let's see. It's not going to be pretty, but it is what, that kind of looks like Captain America a little to me. So you see the triangle there, and then the circles. See the triangle, and then all the circles? Your location grid is a secondary circle, that one. The triangle is the 3 frequencies that make up your physical form. Your binary codex frequency, your experiential, and your location code. The location code is ever changing, ever so slightly. It's a binary frequency, so zeros and ones. Now, when we know this, it makes that, but the shape of the triangle is vortexing around in a circle. So it looks like a spring, springing down, but it goes really tight. So it kind of looks like a tube of light. That's your soul form. So this is going down, it's going inside of you, and then your soul is radiating out, and then it comes back in. When it comes back in, the outside ring is like the universal ring. The secondary ring is your location coding. The first ring is your biological form. So, and of course, they kind of like blend together in different degrees, different accesses. There's different fractalized viewings. The star people are saying Some people can see the rings. They can make adjustments to the rings. They can change your whole life just by pulling a string or a density out of the ring. And so that's another extra sensory ability that some people have on the planet now. They just don't know what it is, and they may not even know how to access it, or maybe they do. Who knows? Now, when we want to change the location code, we can have people work on the outside. So you're casting, right? So the same as we casted a tree. We send it love and light, it grows 10 times the size. Wonderful. We could do that too. That's a way of manifesting. That's a way of manifestation. You could go inside. You could change your location ring. When you make internal circumstance changes to the frequency, then when you open your eyes, the outside world will change or shift according to what frequency that you are holding. Now, the star people are saying your shade system has to also be open to accept the new frequency programming that you are putting into place. This type of work to do with the 3 rings, it works with both the conscious mind, because the conscious mind is commanding, but then that frequency also has to tune into the subconscious mind and make the change. So that's where the belief system comes from. You cannot have a belief system that is overriding what you wish to program. Otherwise, it will not manifest. You'll have to go through all the belief systems, remove the belief system, which the science is great for. By the way, if you've ever dived into sacred geometry and quantum physics, it will show you that the physical world that we know it to be is not physical. It's fluid. It's movable, mind over matter. All this information will come to you. And so when we know this, then all of a sudden we have 2 different ways that we can handle doing the same exact task. And now this is important because there's 2 different ways. So the star people have been saying for a while now, there's spiritual ways of handling something, and then there's physical ways of handling something. And so this is what it means. Mind blown. So it means that we can go inside, we can change our internal frequencies to manifest, or it means that we can handle it on the outside. We can make moves, we could generate torsion or toroidal fields, or call upon a vortex energy, actually manifest water. And so I want you each to think about how water comes out of the ground. It actually forms a circle, like a vortex energy, like a spring. And then it's sucking up all of the minerals in that ground, and it's pushing it all up and out the spring. And so we've heard stories of that, of someone calling upon a spring and then water appears. Now, we have different techniques. So they have dowsing rods, which you can even use a metal hanger. And the metal hanger will show where the water is underneath your feet. How does that work? Because the water is holding memory. It's magnetic because it's living water. Living water. And so when the water comes from the earth, you just dreamt of it, so it's a synchronicity. And so when water comes from the earth, it has a magnetic charge. So and the pH levels come into play, the mineralization comes into play, because these are all things that we need. It's a vortex. So let's say you have a bottle of water. Sometimes we want to give it a vortex and spin it, because it's re-energizing or adding life into the water before we drink it. And so you can see that certain crystals are also being used to program water. That's amazing too. However, there's certain ways that you could take the water and you can your heart, you can close your eyes, you can go inside, and then you could change your internal circumstances, or you could visualize projecting the love into the water with your heart. And then it does the same exact thing. So we have a physical step and we have a spiritual step in which you can re-energize the water that you drink. Now, any time that you are adding love and light to water, what that's doing is it's programming a sacred geometric snowflake at the subatomic level of the water. And so when we say, I love you, water, and we drink it, it's getting into all the cells in the body, and it's reprogramming us to allow us to accept a higher frequency range. This is how it works. It's science. It's not magic. Although magic is real too. It's all science that we just don't understand. So to learn the science proves the magic is real. Same thing. They have certain frequency technology that can levitate rocks. This is how the pyramids were built. So the pyramids also, many of them were built from the top down. So they had to levitate the rocks, and then they had to put them all together. Some pyramids are not just a pyramid. It's like your Merkaba field. There's a pyramid up and a pyramid down. And so your Merkaba field up of two counter-rotating pyramids. Counter-rotating is like this. They're both spiraling, spinning. So when we know this, we take the pyramids as an example. Well, why did they build a pyramid? What is the pyramid doing? What is it that the star people have been telling you guys about? The vortex, the binary codex frequency, the pyramid shape, and it's vortexing down inside your body. The pyramids do the same thing, except the pyramids amplifies a vortex that Mother Earth is giving off. And then that vortex goes to the tip, and then it gets projected up into the upper atmosphere. And so this is another thing that the pyramids do. Now, when you put things inside of a pyramid, like let's say you put banana, or you put people who had diabetes, all of a sudden they spent a certain amount of time in the pyramid, the diabetes disappeared. People who needed glasses, they hung out in the pyramids, all of a sudden they didn't need glasses. And so what are they doing? They are pulling the source frequency, which also comes from the Earth, because the Earth is receiving the solar energetics, so it's all connected to the source frequency. All light energy is connected to the source frequency. All dark matter is also connected to the source frequency. All frequency in this current holographic simulation, it's all connected to the source frequency. The source frequency, we take that frequency wave, we see it or perceive it from a human perspective to be light and high frequency. That's why we want to shoot for up there, because we want it to be all love and light and stuff, right? 5D. So it's a high frequency, but then it gets slow. And then the slowness that we experience is the physical reality. That's 3D. That's what we're in. But then it gets even slower. So when it gets even slower, you have the crystal kingdom, right? They don't move. They don't have arms and legs. It's a very slow frequency, but they still are consciously aware. So we can make contact and communication with crystals, and they can give us information. You could sit here and you could program the crystal with memory. And so this crystal has been with me to every single live that I've done. Eventually, the technology is going to increase to such a degree in which we will be able to take a crystal, plug it into the computer, and get an actual holographic simulation wherever in our room, showing us exactly what was said and done during the memory of this crystal. It automatically gets programmed. This is the crystal's memory. So we have memory keepers on the planet. So there's certain people whose different aspects of their brain or their frequency is already unlocked. It depends on your charts. So many people have a look at the human energetic grid structure charts. I don't know what it's called, but there's different lines on it, and certain things are unblocked at the time of birth, but then you could go and you can unlock anything. So just because you're born with something doesn't mean it has to stay that way. If you put enough conscious focus into it, you can manifest anything you wish. Some people are born with like a stutter, and then they put the knowledge and the attention and the devotion into it, and then they heal it. So this is also how your energetic charts work. When you're born, at the time and place of your birth, you have a chart. That chart can then be taken and unlocked, or a modification to it, the star people are saying. Now, when we know all this, then what can we do with it? Well, that means that we are connected to everything that we see outside. So being loving, caring, kind is one way of starting to access the higher frequency realms. But we also must be patient. We must be compassionate for ourselves, because we're holding on to traumas from a 3D world. That 3D world, many of us walk through so much trauma that it's like, oi, right? That's a whole lot of stuff that we have to sort through. We have to release. We have to love and light it, right? We have to go through the entire simulation. And it's okay to take your time. It is okay to not be done healing. It's okay to want to sit on your butt for the day. Everyone has a day. Just don't make it a pattern and do it every single day for a month, because then it's a problem, right? But it's okay. No one is rushing anybody. Nobody is better. Nobody is worse. And so some people are super high frequency. You guys may watch spiritual teachers and you may think, oh, their life is so great, but then you're not seeing what happens behind the camera. And so this is another thing about watching people online, is you're seeing what they want you to see. This is my highest passion. So I always get super happy and excited. I have my moments, right? You guys, I share all my moments with you guys. Do you think those numerology sites could use your birth chart negatively? Anything that's in the physical world can be used for a positive or a negative, right? So if I put sticky notes, I'd leave on the water container. Yes, I used to write the word in the Sharpie, love, across. And so if you guys buy any products with the word love on the actual wrapper, it actually encodes the whatever liquid, right? So like there's certain types of drinks that have the word love. And so it's programming a higher frequency into the food. So then we go and we eat that food, and it's like, have you guys ever been to a restaurant and you know that the person poured their heart and soul into making the food? It tastes different. It's better. It's sweeter. And so this is another aspect of the simulation, because you're going to get to, and each and every one of us are going to get to this point at one degree or another. It doesn't matter. Everyone is at their own levels. It's fine. We're each actually, if you look at it, each person is a different lens to the source frequency. So we're all like a piece of the puzzle, and we're all supposed to have different experiences. So you're supposed to be at a different level than me. We're not supposed to be the same. We're not supposed to look the same. We're supposed to be separated, divided, so that we can bring the whole picture together and see the entire thing, because that's the beauty, and the perfection is in the imperfection. This is life. It's real. It's messy. It's sticky. It's ugly. It's beautiful. But it's real. It's life. Right? And this is why we came here, was to learn from this, and to learn from all these experiences that we walk through, right? And to take all this pain and heal it with love and light and transmutate it all, and then show other people, hey, if I could do it, you guys can do it too. That's power. And so each and every one of you guys can do what I do. I'm just like you. I went kicking and screaming at one point, but you know what? I just breathed. I just took one breath and one footstep. And I didn't stop. I kept going, because I found the will to live, right? And when you find the will to live and you take those one steps and you think your life is horrible, everything is crumbling, you take a few more steps, and then all of a sudden life isn't that bad. And then before you know it, now you're happy and excited again, and you're healing yourself again. So we don't have to stay in the dark frequencies, but it is a journey. It's a process. And so sometimes you can go from suppressed to being really, really happy. The star people are stepping forward, saying that this message is for one of you guys in particular. So you may have been suppressed, and then you went right, you crawled your way out of that hole, and you made it back to happiness, and you felt a lot better, but all the emotions still need to be unpacked from that hole, right? And so what does that mean? Because if you feel happy, don't you think that you're healed? That's what I used to think. And then we had to start unpacking the emotions. Now, when you unpack emotions, you go into each and every emotion code. How does that emotion make you feel? So how does the emotion of sadness make you feel? Do you get triggered? Does any memory of your childhood come up? Do you have any memories of other people making you feel like an outcast or sad or a black sheep? All of these different topics and emotions, we have to dive into all of them, and we have to go through each one internally and heal them. Now, you can have a guide do it to help you. I should really just make a video, and where we are just YouTubing through all these different emotions. This way you guys can just listen. And then it will allow you to see which ones trigger you and which ones heal and which ones don't. Right? So if you guys want me to make a video like that, just let me know. But I mean, it's a lot of negativity to be putting out a video too. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Do you have to go back? Oh man, that one's gone. Picking up these golden nuggets that you're dropping on us is like gemstones being released into the universe. Thank you very much, Facebook user. You are absolutely amazing. Thanks. Gotta go now. Bless you, teachers. Thank you, and many love and blessings. Actually, I gotta go too. I have a session coming up. So thank you guys super duper much. Super duper. You could tell I'm with my kids today, right? Super duper. Thank you so very, very much for joining us today on another episode of Starseed Activations. So I am going to be starting to do attachment release sessions. And so we are going to actually be running, because me and a couple other people, we discussed it, and we're going to be doing Valentine's Day specials. And this is because this month is the month of love. So why not give you guys something to celebrate the month of love? And let's not have it for one day. Let's try and have it all month long. So that's my gift to you. The website I'm going to be making the changes to sometime later today or tomorrow. So you will see, and then I will be putting up the attachment release sessions. Attachment releases is very intricate. It's very, very emotional. So, bring a box of tissues, bring your favorite crystals. If you have a teddy bear, bring that, and we'll get through it. The attachment releases, I do not like to rush. So that's going to be a minimum of 1 hour to 2 hours. We're going to dive into your emotions and see what needs to be healed. If you need a little longer than an hour, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to sit right there and make sure it gets done, because to me, it's more important that people get healed during the process. I'd rather sit there all day and get it all out of you so that you feel better. We are running an attachment release class. I believe that's on February 11th. It's an attachment master class. So I'm going to teach you about the types of attachments, how to sense them, where they can possibly be located, what they trigger, all sorts of information. If you're a Reiki healer and you want to add this into your practice, this is a good class for you. You're going to get the basic information. It's not so much, the last class we did a lot of healings. So I showed people in real world time how to pull these things off. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys the information so you can take the information and go back to your practice. We are also going to cover summoning the angels, as well as calling in the star people to help you guys to learn it, because this is real. And so we have to start summoning in a vortex when we work with attachments. We call in the archangels so that they can take the attachments and put them home very gently and softly. And we call in the star people so that they can clean our energetics after we are done. So it is a process. We're going to go over all of this in the attachment class. Seats are limited. There's only one class this time. And so if you guys, you want to come, reserve your seat now, because I'm only going to allow a certain amount of people into the class. Also, on the 11th, we are doing the inner monthly Zoom. And so that one is also up at daniellelipton.com. I put the name, well, Instagram, I'm sorry, you can't see. But you guys, I finally figured out how to put the website up. Good job, Canva. But yeah, you guys can come to the inner monthly Zoom. So you can have one-on-one with me. And so you can ask any and all spiritual questions. And then you'll get all the questions. I usually answer everything that you guys have. Or I bring some questions and I answer. If you guys have no questions, it's okay too. Normally it sparks a conversation and then things get flying though. Like I really like doing those. What else do we have? I think that's it. So today's Friday. Yeah. Have a happy weekend, guys. And many, many, many love and blessings. Okay. Beautiful.